We're continuing to speak on the prayer by Narottam Das Thakur, Sri Guru Vandana, and we are up to the last verse, so we can all chant responsibly. Sri Guru Karuna Sindhu misusing the opportunities that you give him. Don't think that it's pointless. And Prabhupada raised his eyebrows and said, you do not understand the nature of Lord Nityananda's mercy. There's no limit to it. So, there are many examples, of course, of this extension of mercy. Haridas Thakur immediately comes to mind how he was beaten and flogged through 23 villages, and the only thing that worried him was not the pain that he was feeling, because it is said that if 3 villages an ordinary person would have been killed, he was so mercilessly beaten. And yet he tolerated it. And the reason was that he was very worried about those who were hitting him, what would happen to them. And when finally they said, if you don't die, then our lives would be taken by the Muslim leaders, then Haridas Thakur immediately apparently became dead. And they threw his body into the Ganga. And he said, I don't want to give you any trouble. And he immediately became like a dead person. And then some miles later on, his body floated down and he came out of his trance and appeared to be normal again. In the Mahaprakash manifestation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, where he showed himself to be the Supreme Lord, he told Haridas Thakur that actually I took the whipping upon my own body, and then he showed the scars on his own body. That is why he did not feel what was happening to you. So, the spiritual master similarly suffers on behalf of Krishna, we can say. He takes our sinful reactions, karma, and therefore he is considered to be the shelter for the conditioned soul. Nevertheless, we should not take undue advantage of the mercy we get from our spiritual master. Prabhupada said once, Krishna can forgive, he can forgive again. He can forgive again. He said that 3rd time, whatever he may not forgive. So we should not think that this can go on and on and on and on. Take unfair advantage just is considered a offense against the holy name of the Lord. Particularly it falls within the category of many sinful activities on the strength of chanting. In other words, if you think that because I have heard my spiritual master is an ocean of mercy, so I can do so many nonsense things and still he will extend his mercy to me, that type of mentality is not acceptable. And Prabhupada said that something he has commented that sometimes that is the worst offense against the whole thing. So, to balance the statement about the mercy of the Guru, we should also state one should not take unfair advantage of it. Neither one should think the spiritual master is an ordinary conditioned soul. That is also a mistake. And sometimes we have dilemmas because we see that the spiritual master or our devotion to him competes with our feelings of devotion for others. But we should understand that we have accepted our spiritual master as our guide, and therefore we have to remain faithful to him. And if sometimes we become strained in terms of our allegiance, we should always rule in favor of our Guru. That may be considered as mine, but that faithfulness and loyalty is required for someone to have unflinching devotion. Adhama Janava Bandhu. Bandhu means friend. So the spiritual master has 2 addresses here. On the one hand, he's on the other hand, he's addressed as Bandhu, or friend. He's a friend of the fallen souls. What is real friendship? Real friendship is to help someone in need. If someone is a fallen soul, surely he is in great need. So a friend is a person who lends hand to the fallen to lift them up. A friend shares whatever he or she has with another. So the spiritual master shares whatever he has received from his guru. There is a inheritance. It's described in Chaitanya Chaitamrita. There's a vast treasure house, a storehouse, which is lying there as the claim of each sincere person. And as a disciple, you have every right to claim the inheritance from the Guru. That inheritance is all of the wealth and knowledge, the transcendental knowledge and realization that is coming down through the chain of the cyclic succession. And the disciple has a right to this. But you have to know how to get it. You have to ask for it. You have to be also worthy of it. Because when a father has some wealth and wants to leave it for his daughter or his son, he's not going to allow it to get spoiled. If he doesn't think that the children are worthy, he's not going to let whatever wealth there is accumulated through the forefathers to be spoiled by an unqualified child. So he tries his best to make the children qualified in order to be able to bestow upon them what is rightfully theirs. It is rightfully yours. Taking birth, this is the second birth, taking birth within the rite of initiation. You have a right to all that wealth, but you have to not misuse it. Otherwise, it may be taken away. So friendship. Another point is that the spiritual master here is our Prabhu. And in the spiritual world, the spiritual master becomes a friend. And the relationship between guru and disciple in the spiritual world is one of friendship. But we should not unnecessarily become overly familiar in this world. When one disciple asked Prabhupada a question, do you ever feel the separation from your spiritual master? Prabhupada said, that is not for you to ask. So that is not for you to ask. In other words, when persons became too inquisitive, I would rather say when persons who were not qualified became too inquisitive, Prabhupada shut the door. He would not respond. I'm sure if they were more qualified, he would have said everything. But he did not, because he understood that they might not properly be able to appreciate all that he was feeling. So we have to become worthy of the spiritual master revealing those things which are made most sacred to us. This Lokanath, of course, is Lokanath Goswami, is the guru of Narottam Das Thakur. His samadhi is there in Vrindavan, nearby the Radha temple. But Lokanath, of course, also means the protector of the people. Loka means this world, and it also means people of this world, and Hanta means the Lord or protector. So the Guru is our protector on behalf of Krishna. The Guru protects. How does the Guru protect? By showing us the path of Dharma. He shows us the path of religious activity, and he helps us to see what to distinguish right from wrong. me and give me the shelter. Dehamora Parajoya, give me the shelter of your lotus feet. So the shelter of the lotus feet of the spiritual master sometimes described as a soothing shelter, cooling shelter. The disciple always aspires for that shelter. And may your glories now be proclaimed throughout the world. So this is the prayer. The next prayer, there are more prayers for this song. The next is Sri Vaishnava Mahima. Mahima means glories. Sri Vaishnava Mahima. The glories of the Vaishnava. And it goes like this. Vaishnava Charana Venu Bhushana Koriyatanu Jaha Vaite Anubhavavaya Marjana Vaya Ajana Sadhu Sanghe Anukshana Asnana Abhishya Parvachara. So we normally end here the song, but the song goes on. And it says, I decorate my body with the dust from the lotus feet of the Vaishnavas, because by this one can achieve transcendental realizations. By constantly associating with the devotees, one's cultivation of devotional service is purified, and one can conquer nations. And there's a question about Krishna. The words Jamhavoite refer to the person who has decorated himself with the dust of the lotus feet of the devotees. Avidya, in this case, refers to the desires of Chaturvarga, the four purposes of life, Artha, Karma, Kama, and Moksha. So the dust of the feet of the devotees, it is said that to get the dust from the feet of the devotees, to get the water which has washed the feet of the devotees, and to get the remnants of the foodstuffs left by the devotees, these three are the most valuable source of transcendental mercy for anyone to get. We see an example of Narada Muni simply by getting the remnants of food left by the pure devotees of the Lord, the Bhakti Vedantas. He became a great transcendentalist. So we see what mercy there is in this act. The dust of the feet of the pure devotee are so valuable. And it's said to be, it's interesting, the word bhushana, decorate, it's decoration. Of course, we put so much decoration on our heads. We wear nice clothing, or we decorate our faces. But here it said that the ultimate decoration for the head is the dust from the feet of the pure devotee. There's no better decoration. You can think about this every day, right? When you're decorating yourself, you should say, do I have a little bottle of dust? Foot dust from the pure devotees, to put some of that on me. That's the ultimate decoration. And here it also says that the association of the Vaishnavas purifies one's cultivation of devotional service. That's very interesting, isn't it? Because in the process of devotional service, it's described in Chaitanya Chaitamrita that the Bhakti Lata, the creeper of devotion, is surrounded by so many other weeds which appear to be like the devotional creeper. And these are mentioned here, Artha, Dharma, Kama, and Moksha. And it is a fact, if you talk with people who are interested in religion, it's very hard sometimes for them to distinguish Uttama Bhakti, pure Bhakti, Kaila Bhakti, from Mishra Bhakti, Jnana Mishra Bhakti, or Karma Mishra Bhakti. In other words, it's very hard for them important to distinguish, for example, what is the difference between coming to an arti or chanting Hare Krishna as opposed to doing your duty to your family, or as opposed to so many other forms of dharma. But we know there's a great difference. One of the holy name offenses against the holy name is to compare the chanting of Hare Krishna with any of the activities mentioned in the Karma Kanda or Jnana Kanda sections of Scripture. And so, for example, moksha, liberation. Certainly most people hold liberation to be the highest principle of spiritual life. But in the Nectar of Devotion, if you read, you'll see that pure bhakti minimizes the importance of liberation. It's considered to be insignificant. Mukti Kulitanjali Sevate Swan. The mukti, or liberation, waits at the door of the house of bhakti as a doorkeeper, or as a maidservant, or a servant, a doorkeeper. Liberation is not considered to be, moksha especially, is not considered to be so significant as bhakti. In other words, we don't pray specifically for moksha, we pray for bhakti. A devotee's prayer is, let me serve you, Lord, birth after birth. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu makes that statement, right? Birth after birth. But moksha, the desire for liberation, means I don't want to take birth again. Now, we also recognize that as valuable. We don't want to act. But if Krishna desires, the devotee will do so. But the devotee wants pure service to Krishna without condition. Not even the desire for liberation or salvation. If that's all considered a selfish motive. Kama, dharma, the word dharma, so many types of dharmas. Homas, manu, laws of men, manu dharma, are just so many different types of religious duties to perform. And these are all classified here as avidya. And it's said that if the only way to get free from this type of confusion is to associate with pure devotees. Because a pure devotee is on the path of pure devotion and will not become sidetracked by the association of such pure Vaishnavas. You will come to understand what is pure bhakti. And it's very important, because if you don't perform pure bhakti, you can't get the lotus feet of Radha Krishna. You can't get the lotus feet of Mahaprabhu. So this type of avidya is destroyed in association with the saintly Vaishnavas. Then, there's another text that I perhaps played in this class, because it's called Sri Rupa Sanatana Mahima. It's the glories of Sri Rupa and Sri Sanatana, which will be the next class. And it goes on for a while, and for 3 verses. And then after that comes Shuddha Bhakti Tattva, the truth about pure devotional service. So we will cover these 2 subjects into 2 more classes. Let's see if anyone has any questions. We'll stop here. Yes.
We spoke about the spiritual master-disciple relationship becomes that friendship. But doesn't the disciple maintain that consciousness that
No.
spiritual master?
No. But there's no longer a relationship of guru and disciple. It becomes friend and friend.
Is the history correct?
If it's needed to be remembered, but why should one? That's like asking, do you remember in the spiritual world about your trips in the material world? Do you? Do you think that when you're in the spiritual world, you have to dwell on the millions of births you had here?
I just heard the Prabhupada said it was like waking up from a bad dream.
Yeah, so when you wake up from a bad dream, you don't want to keep thinking about the dream.
But you remember?
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Not detail.
No, you don't. No, not even detail. You don't put it out of your mind. People don't continually dwell on bad dreams. They try to forget them. And similarly, the relationship with Guru, because we see that in the example of the example we have from the prayers and songs as an example is in terms of the Goswamis and their service, their eternal service to Srimati Radharani. And, Sanatana and Rupa, who are, especially in the case of Rupa Goswami and Sanatana, they are, the foremost maidservants of Radharani. And others assist them. But their relationship is not like a guru and disciple. It's like a friend and another friend. It's in a friendly mood. They're the same age, and they have the same service mood. So it's loving dealings.
Does the relationship still end up assisting them as spiritual master?
Yes, it is. But it's done more in friendship. The exchange is one of friendship, not of master-servant relationship. There's still the recognition of the closeness of the person who worships Guru to the worshipable object, Krishna or Radha or whoever it may be, according to the relationship. So that person is close, and therefore you come closer to the worshipable object by the friendship you have with that person, or by the mood of service you have to that person. Friends also serve each other. But the mood of friendship and service is different than the mood of a servant and a master. Another question?
Yes. Regarding how does that relationship exist?
Well, when we understand the guru and disciple, if the guru and disciple have different rasas, how does the relationship exist? The example has to be, we have to get the answer from Jayadharma. Bhaktivinoda Thakur discusses this in Jayadharma. And in different ways the Guru will manifest relationships that are appropriate. And there, one was in the relationship, I believe it's been a while since I read fraternity, and one was in the relationship of conjugal, and the Guru took appropriate forms. So it's possible to take many forms. I will have to read. I don't have my Jayadharma here, but I believe what I said is accurate. My memory is accurate.
Regarding the silence,
And I think the point is made. You will see your spiritual master, so-and-so, you will see. And I think the person sees their guru in that word, or in that particular form that's suitable for the relationship they have with Krishna.
you're talking about the guru as an individual or the guru as a principle?
Yeah. I mean, I would like to read some more, maybe before I answer this question, so I don't give you an accurate answer. It's been a while since I read that book, and I'm pretty tired this morning, so the combination is not making for good memory. If someone has Jada Dharma, then do you have a copy of Jada Dharma? If you look through it, then tomorrow or the next day you can give us the answer. It's disgusting. Sure, that's the book.
Described that the relationship with the Guru is always one reference.
Always one reference. Yes, thank you. And this is why Vaishnavas are essential. Sri Prabhu wants to emphasize the point that after such a discussion we should reiterate the fact that in this world the relationship is always one reference. In other words, if you hear this fact that, one day we'll be friends, and you start to bring that friendship into this world and then in a fraternal rasa, then then it will be offensive. The Guru does not allow that. Maybe more friendly. The Shiksha-Guru relationship especially just allows for more friendliness. But especially the Diksha-Guru relationship is more of a reference. And the Shiksha-Guru relationship sometimes can be more, but still it is reverential. The Prabhupada said they always had that. But I do think that at 10 years, 20 years gone by, we would have seen, at least Prabhupada might have said to that person, that is not for you to inquire. Of course, I don't think someone who was advanced would inquire about that. The question itself, do you ever feel separation from your Guru? That's not right. I mean, we ask that out of our ignorance. But it is prying into the feelings of our Guru. And if he volunteers that information, well, very good.
Would also read some Marguli's instruction say that one should cultivate the attitude of firm friendship with the spiritual master, which says how should you understand?
Well, that statement, that is a balance to what Sri Radha was saying. Cultivating firm friendship and at the same time one reverence. The two are really not very compatible. Friendly feelings and one reverence are not very compatible. Can anybody answer? Yes, Mahatma.
I think you answered it in the sense that
I'm glad it did. Tell me what I said. Be present.
he's the friend of the fallen. So we can always think he's my best friend because he's saving me, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I give up the other record.
Right, that's right. We can think in terms of he's a friend of the fallen, and in that sense he's my best well-wisher friend. But that doesn't make us give up the feeling.
Sometimes a disciple, Srila Prabhupada's disciples will lose faith in their spiritual master, and then they try to take shelter at another institution like the Prabhupada's God techniques. And they feel like this is helping their spiritual life because they're getting more inspiration there with their heart feels satisfied.
I don't think that people necessarily go for shiksha to somebody else because they lost faith in their guru. I don't think that that's accurate. I don't believe that to be accurate at all. In fact, I think it's quite normal that because our training is not complete, that we should take further shiksha. And I think it's very unfortunate that this woman doesn't know how to recognize the need of disciples for shiksha gurus. And they somehow think that may indicate lack of faithfulness. I don't think that's a fact at all. Although I would agree that it can if one has to leave one's institution to find such shiksha, then one is treading on very risky ground. Most religions are like that. The institution is also very important. And I think Prabhupada made this kind of institution quite important. He often said, this kind is my body. And, I think most religious institutions feel that way about their institution. Catholic Church certainly does, the Buddhist Sangha certainly does, ISKCON doesn't, and Gaudiya institutions do also. So going outside of your institution for shiksha definitely is risky. And it can lead to faithlessness in Prabhupada. I think that's true. But I don't think that in and of itself, taking shiksha from another person indicates that one has lack of faith in one's guru. In fact, it may be that one has great faith in one's guru and one wants to understand one's guru's instructions better. The principle of shiksha guru is certainly there throughout our literature. It's spoken about a great deal. You have Shiva Ramanuja's book on the shiksha guru available in Mirabai. Do you sell that? Do you sell that book in the gift shop? Huh? Shiksha Guru is called by Shiva Ramanuja. You don't have that? You should get that book. In fact, you should meet me and I'll try to remember some other good books. Because your gift shop is the place where everybody can get these books. You don't have to order many copies, 5 or 10 copies. But that's an important book, and it does discuss about the Shiksha Guru, the importance of Shiksha Guru. And we don't have much of a culture in ISKCON about Shiksha Guru. Everybody thinks I'm getting everything I need from my Diksha Guru. That's not very likely. And I think that Prabhupada only recognized that, and that's why he spoke a great deal about it.
So in your first class, you spoke how when the disciple becomes qualified,